Hey folks, got another video for you here on the Wall of Shields vlog. This time I'm going to show you guys my current Polybian Roman Army 15mm. And the last episode, last vlog update, I showed off my Gauls, and these are their opponents. Normally with me, I play a lot of games featuring my Gauls going against my Romans. And here they are currently. This mainly a mix of Essex, some Old Glories. I think there's some Corvus Belli in there, and I think that's it at the moment. I think I might actually have some Zeiston, this little elephant here. But anyway, I'll show him in a second. But basically, this is an army I've played a lot with all kinds of different rules. It's DBX basing throughout. It started off as a DBA army of 12 plus bases back in the day. And I was fascinated by this army in this period, actually, and decided to really collect this army. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And I just recently, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I finished about 3 or 4 bases of figures. I painted up some of those guys with the red shields are brand new. I think it's the ones to the far right there, the ones with the brighter red shields, I think. Somewhere in there. I painted up some Stati, Principe, and a base of Triari to add to the collection. And one of the impressive things to me when I look at this army is the shield colors, the variety of shields mixed the way they are. I mean, to me, that's what a Polybian army would look like during this period. Really enjoyable to look at and fun to play. And let's zoom in and take a look at some of the units. For starters here, I got some Velites. These are the Soloi, classed in DBX. I'm surprised I only have 3 bases of these. They are very useful troop types to have. I have... Yeah, these are all Essex, I believe. You can see they're battle-worn. So some stuff I have to fix on them. Rubbed off paint here and there. I've had these for years. These are all Essex, and really useful troop types, being Soloi. And yeah, so that's these guys. And I'll definitely have to get some more. Look pretty cool, pretty straightforward, white linen colors, that kind of thing going on. Got their extra javelin there. Yeah, so that's these guys. These are my lights, my Soloi. And right behind them, I'll show these guys too. I think these originally came from my, when I had a Greek army, Spartans, I think. I think I had these guys from that army, and I kept them in my Roman army. It's one of the advantages of a Roman army. You can have all kinds of different allies added to your forces. And again, these are Soloi. These guys would be with these guys for a light contingent. So, and again, these are Essex as well. Not very big. I've had these for a long time, so I painted these many years ago. So there's those guys. So that's my lights. These guys are interesting. These are my Cretan archers. As you can see, they got the red tunics on. These guys in the end are Essex. They're a little bit smaller, as you'll see. I like that dark shading on them. And could use these with all kinds of different armies, including my Seleucids. I think I've used them in. And we got a variety of skin tones going on here. These are Old Glory. They are definitely a bit stoutier of a figure, bigger than the Essex, but they do work in the same army perfectly fine. I wouldn't base them on the same figure, or on the same base, rather. And yeah. And I bought a couple big bags. I think it's like 100 in each bag of Old Glory's Cretan archers. I don't know why I bought so many. I think I sold some of them. But they're definitely useful in battles. And here's 3 bases. These guys also count as Soloi. So they add to the light troops of my Roman army. And I really enjoy that basing. Again, that's kitty litter, some clump foliage, standard green brown phlox, and it's spackle for texture to look like dirt and mud on the base. Yeah, Litco bases, of course, 3mm thick. And yeah, let's look at the other troops. Now, these are fun troops to have. And these are my Numidian light cavalry. This is a mix of Old Glory. I think these are Old Glory. They have the smooth shield going on. And I believe there's a Corvus Belly in here. I'm not sure what make this guy is right here on the end. On the far end. You could tell he's got the little knob on his shield there. He's a different manufacturer. He's not Old Glory. I'm going to say it's Corvus Belly. I could be wrong. I did buy a boxed army. I think it's Corvus Belly of Numidians, an army which I intend to expand and make into a full army because they're so easy to paint and they're a very interesting army and a challenge to play. It's so full of light troops, some imitation legionnaires and that sort of thing. But they'll be fun to work on. But I do have a contingent to serve with my Romans, my Polybian army, and these are very useful troops. I like to have a lot of light troops in my armies supporting the Legion. Now you can see the base texturing that I put on them. I really like that. And so yeah, 3 bases of these guys, 2 figures each. They count as light horse in DBMM. So there they are. Got their javelins, all that good stuff. Simple paint scheme. Nothing fancy. But they serve their purpose well. And right behind them, slide these guys over. This guy's my favorite. And he is my war elephant. Again, from the Numidians, from my Numidian allies. I gotta fix that. There's a little brown paint coming off there. Never noticed that before. And he's on a 40 by 40 millimeter base, as is standard for DBX. And this also came from the starter boxed army from Corvus Belli for the Numidians. Yeah, he's got a little paint coming off there. I could see that. And I've used these guys a lot in my games of L'Art de la Guerre. And it's nice to have an elephant in your army. Especially when you got a cavalry-heavy opponent, for instance. These come in handy. Yeah, there's a couple riders up there shooting their bows. It's a nice model. Again, Corvus Belli, I believe. Yeah, I think that is a Corvus Belli. Because I also have an Essex elephant from the Carthaginian army, which I use in my Seleucid army. And I'll show that off in the future as well. My Seleucid army isn't big, but it's enough to field as a L'Art de la Guerre 100-point army or a DBA army. And they have a nice war elephant, among other things. So this is the war elephant for my Romans. They don't get many, and you got to have one because it looks so great on the battlefield. So there he is. And again, this will be for my future Numidian army as well. Okay, let's look at some of the other troops. You'll notice right away, I like to paint them up in groups of colors in terms of the shield. The shield are really what makes these Roman units stand out. Now, these aren't painted in units. Again, they're for DBMM. But I have used them with Field of Glory, which is a game that uses units. And when I do play games like that, I like to organize the units according to their shield color. Also of note is the fact that I have these guys organized in their troop type as well. So you've got the Hastati, and then you've got the Principe, which have the tunic of chainmail. And then you've got the Triarii, which are in the back here. Triarii, I base them. Yeah, and that's usually how I paint my Romans. I paint them in 3 or 4 bases at a time of a mixed type of Hastati, Principe, Triarii, and Velites. Although I don't think I've been painting a lot of Velites, as I showed you earlier. Also note the variance in skin tones, something I like to do, as well as a variance in the colors of the shields. Even though they're all yellows, I try to vary it up as much as I can. There's a more pale yellow here with this guy, because I think it just looks more real. I don't like to conform too much in the appearance of my army. I know some people can't stand that. They're like, everything the same color, same pose, and everything's got to look just perfect. And there's also some mud effects going on the shields. Yeah, so these are 2 groups of the yellow shields, and a pretty simple paint scheme. I don't go overboard on these. I just want to get them on the battlefield. I did convert some of them. You'll notice some of these guys have back plates, like this guy here, and some of them don't, like that guy right there. He's just got the cross leather straps. I like to change it up now and then, And I basically took a little hobby knife and scraped off the plate on his back. And I like to do that. And these are all Essex, by the way. I don't think I have any other Legionnaire model types. So these are all Essex from their Polybian Roman Army. I could see some of the Caesarian Romans, the Marian Romans, fitting in with this army as well, especially these guys for the Principe, because they typically had the chain shirt. They would fit in as well if I had any. I used to have a Marian Roman Army, actually, and I did use them with these guys. Just for variety, because again, I like the variety. So here's some command stands for the yellow guys. So yeah, and we got some blues. And the same thing going on. You got the Principe and the Hastati. I usually like to throw in a hornblower or some type of command. In case I use these guys in units, I can do so. But again, these are for DBMM. Totally unnecessary to form units. You're more interested in bodies of men, which is what a base or an element represents. And simple paint scheme, velites. Yeah, so here is the blues. And I'm always looking for new colors to add to my shields, colors that you might see in the Roman army of this era. And we also have quite a few of the reds. Let me back these guys up a little bit. Quite a few of the reds. And again, we've got the lots of Triarii here in the back, 3 bases. A couple bases of Hastati, a couple bases of Principe. And there they are. That's how they'd be formed up. I think the last ones I painted a few weeks ago are in this little group. Again, these are all Essex. Simple paint schemes. Got the dark wash going on. The darken them up. Make them look like they're on campaign. There's the Hastati. There's the Principe. You'll notice I don't put any designs on the shields. I leave that option for the future. I mean, it definitely looks impressive when you put some designs on there. And I would probably be painting mine. I wouldn't be using decals, which is an option. But typically they wouldn't have designs, at least in my research. You wouldn't see a whole lot of designs on these shields during this time. It's just not practical, not common. That's not to say it didn't happen, and I am in a position to actually add designs on those shields if I want. Keep in mind, these are not Imperial Romans. These are a very early Republican Roman. Well, there are actually earlier than this, but this is how I do it, and I'm quite happy with it, and that's what's most important. And some of the Triarii. It's a very dark red. So I got some different tones of red going on here, even on the same base, which again, I like to do. And they got the chain shirt. Again, these are all Essex. These are pewter spears. They are not solid, so they do bend. You got to be careful of that. It's the only thing I don't like about the Essex models. They can get damaged. You get the little spaghetti noodles going on in your spear units. These are classed as blades, superior, ordinary, I believe. Depends on the quality of the legionnaires. And these are classed as spears, good against cavalry, defensive unit. Superior or ordinary, I believe. Again, depending on the legionnaires you're representing. The lesser troops or the better veteran types. And what else have we got? I showed the yellows. We do have some whites. I've got 4 bases of these, and for some reason, I didn't paint any Triarii for these guys. And again, simple color schemes. All Essex. And yeah, I scraped off the back plates on these guys. You just see the leather. Now, some of these Essex, they don't actually have the rims on the shield. If you notice, on the top and bottom of the shields, there is a metal rim, and not all models have them, and the Essex don't have them at all. So you literally have to paint them on yourself, which I did. A little black paint, and then put a little silver on top, or brass, bronze, whatever you're working with color-wise. And yeah, so that's what I did with these guys. Very easy to paint. There you go. And I love the bases on these. The flocking, I mean. All right, so that's the Legion troops, and I got quite a few of them. They make up the bulk of the Roman army. Now let's take a look at the cavalry. Troop type I am severely lacking for my Romans. Gotta keep with history, right? But I definitely need to add to my cavalry contingent. I believe these are, I think these are Old Glory. I'm not sure. These guys right here. I think they are. This guy is probably Essex, but I think these two are Old Glory. I'm not sure about that. I know these guys are Essex. These are actually pretty chunky figures compared to the infantry from Essex. Nice faces on them. Nice sculpts, actually. I like these guys a lot. And yeah, I'm definitely lacking in cavalry. I literally only have 3 bases, one of which is a general. There's this white charger. And there's his bodyguard. These would be classed as cav in DBM. A cav general base, I should say. Or sub-general. So I only have 3. So this is something that I'm focused on expanding. Is the weakness in my Roman army currently, and I've suffered from it in the past because of this weakness. Yeah, so this is a mix of Old Glory and Essex, and now we're going to take a look at some generals. Now, this is for when I'm playing games like L'Art de la Guerre, Field of Glory, which I don't often do. I prefer DBM or DBMM. So these guys do not come into play in those games normally. These are Essex, of course, and I think they look pretty good. Single base. These are Litco bases, of course, 3mm thick, makes it easy to pick up and move around on the table, and C base edges, always important. Nice basing going on. That's kitty litter, clump flocks, spackling, some ground up bark, some grit, and so on and so forth. And yeah, got a Treari there, kind of like a bodyguard. So there's a couple general bases for when I'm playing other games like L'Art de la Guerre, or putting in a camp, or just sitting around the tabletop just for looks. So that's the cav. So that's a look at the army, folks. Of course, I've shown this off before in my last video with the Gauls, but this is typically the camp I use. It's pickup sticks, which are plastic, cut to size, sharpened, and then stuck into some Saya clay, which is basically a very fine powdered paper mache. It's pretty solid. Add a little white glue into it, and it's just like concrete. And I glued all the little wooden spikes in there, and it's good to go. And of course, I left the space perfectly sized to hold a 40mm square base, and also the side edges, if you'll notice here. That makes some room. I could set a 15mm deep base on each side if I so choose. Actually, he doesn't fit too well. All right, that's a little too small. And we'll put the elephant in there just for effect. So he fits right in. And I usually put a... Actually, let me grab that. Put that on here. These are the... I've showed these off as well. These are from my feudal English army. And I like to put this in the front just for looks. Just so it looks like, hey, you can't get in that easy. So, yeah, there is that. Just for looks. And yeah, so that's typically my camp. And if I want something bigger, I have smaller 40mm square bases that I'll add to this. Or I'll put it on felt, the right size that I want. And that's my camp for my Romans. So yeah, so this is the army, folks. And we zoom out a little bit. You can see everything in one go. And I really enjoy this army. It's fun to play. It's fun to collect. It's fun to paint. and lots of variety. And one of the good things about this is that these guys have a lot of allies as well as enemies. And one of the good things about that is that if I wanted to, I can include my entire Gaul army as an allied contingent in this army. So it is actually a considerably sized army if I had an opposing army to play against. So I could combine them. Basically, sharing units among my collections, which is nice. It's nice to be able to do that. And I still have some other pieces. None of these models I showed off when I showed my Gauls, but it would be easy to include in this army more lights or even cavalry from the Gaul army to include as allied contingents. So this is actually can be fielded as a much bigger army. But again, if I'm fighting against my Gauls, I can't really do that. So yeah. And as I mentioned, I do plan on expanding the Numidians. That is my next army I'm going to be collecting. I do have a box set of Corvus Belli, I think, for a DBA-sized army box set. And that's where I got some of these models. And this elephant, in fact, came from that. And these guys will eventually be an army in their own. So I'll hope to show that off in the future once I start expanding it. This is, again, one of the great things about Ancients Gaming, and specifically DBM, DBMM, DBA, is that, because of the rules allowing for allied contingents and things of that nature, it's easy to start new armies by starting them off as nothing more than just a few elements of allied contingents for your main army. In this case, the Romans. And that's what I'm doing with the Numidians. So I don't have to paint up a whole lot to have these guys fight in a battle. That's a great thing about it. And it just so happens that I enjoy these Numidians, and I plan on expanding these in their own right. As an army in their own right. So that's the plan. That's the goal. I hope you enjoyed, folks. That's my little army. It's getting there. Hopefully it'll be twice this size in a year's time. We'll see. I typically paint maybe 3-4 bases of troops, depending on the troop type, to go along with whatever else I'm painting currently. I always got something working on the side. And in this case, it would be my Romans, and I'd do a few bases of them and paint them up in a few sessions, and boom, added to the army. So it's great. It's fantastic. I love Ancients Gaming. I love the variety of troop types. I love 15 mil. Allows me to have huge armies eventually without going broke. I don't need a huge table size. Played with many different sets of rules like L'Art de la Guerre, which was really fun, and I made some videos of our gameplays. In fact, you can watch featuring these Romans as well as the Gauls. You can check that out. And also my Seleucids. So it's good. It's good fun. And folks, I hope to do some more DBMM gaming. Take a look at the rules and actually play some games for you guys. Hopefully, starting next year. I want to be able to start doing that again, because it's been a while. I think I've spent more time painting than actually playing. So we'll see what comes of that. If you like this, folks, let me know. Leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe, and all that. And as far as what I put up next to showcase, maybe my Seleucids. I don't know where I'm going to go with them, if I'm going to keep on expanding them. I'm not sure. They're not one of my favorite armies, to be honest with you. I like to play against them. They're fun to play, but to collect to this level, I don't know. We'll see. But I do have a 100 AP army, about that size, DBA sized, that I could show off. We'll see. All right, folks. I hope you enjoyed my Polybian Roman collection. Again, like, share, subscribe, leave me some comments and feedback. Do you play Ancients? Do you collect? What scale? You a 28mm player, 15s? What manufacturers are your favorite? Let me know. I'm curious what you guys do out there. And yeah, and we'll see you guys next time. I'll have another update soon for the Wall of Shields. So that's about all I got left to say, folks. So you guys hang in there. It's only going to get better. You guys take care. Bye-bye.